Hey, what's up, Lightbolt Joe here. Today we're going to discuss the 2013 Texas Chainsaw. So this is a direct sequel to the 1973 film Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's many a decades later. So the first 3 minutes of the film is basically a recapping of the events of the first film. Sally and friends wind up at this cannibal house, um, how she escaped, how her friends were killed by Leatherface, and then it's a direct right after that. So she's in the pickup truck, laughing maniacally that she got away. And you hear like radio chatter of the sheriffs and stuff like that. If, she said this and we're taking her here and things like that. So it's directly August 18th, 1973 is when this film starts. And so the sheriff then goes to the house. A bunch of other Sawyer family members go to the house. And then some local citizens come to the house. And then there's a shootout between everybody. And the citizens just burn the place down, right? So, of course, against the sheriff because of due justice and, trials and things like that. But the citizens took it up amongst themselves. So what happens then when a baby survives the fire and is taken away from her mother, who was a Sawyer, and then raised as a totally different individual? So flash forward many decades later, and it's presumed that we're in 2013 when the film came out. So we're what, 40 years later, technically? Despite the fact that Alexandra Daddario is 26, 25, 26 when she filmed this. And she is the main girl, Heather Miller, who's really a Sawyer. And it's her story. So she's missing like 15 years of age, but we'll put it aside. Because every time you see a date referencing August 18th, 73, the year is like scratched out or like blurred out or like on a police report or on a tombstone. It's a gravestone. It's like covered with weeds. So it's like not officially referenced that 73 is the time period, but like, that. And I feel like they say it at one point in the beginning, but then it's not referenced how many decades later. Is it 2003? Is it 2017? Well, we know actually it can't be 2003 because one of the deputies in Newt, Texas, we get an actual place, Newt, Texas, is looking at the Carson house, which Alexandra's character of Heather inherited from her biological grandmother, who had been keeping track of her all these years. And so he's holding an iPhone, like, as a viewpoint for the sheriff and the mayor, as well, like, his gun. So instead of, like, a flashlight and his gun, drawn kind of a thing, he's holding his phone and his gun drawn kind of a thing, like exploring after the blood smears and stuff like that. The first iPhone came out June 2007, so it can't be in 2003, so it has to be in 2013. So there you go. There's your timeline of events. It has to be 40 years later. Heather has to be 40 years old. Alexandra was 25, 26, mid-20s when she filmed this. So that's the only problem I have with this film. Everything else is fine. It's fast. It's fun. It's captivating. Another gorgeous cast of main individuals, 4 friends, mixed with a random hitchhiker they pick up who turns out to be a thief who happens to be the first victim when they get to the inherited house. It's entertaining bringing in backstory. It's entertaining bringing in community backstory as to why they don't like these individuals, why they're trying to get rid of these cannibal family individuals, that way the town is done with it. I also like that Lionsgate now has the property right for this particular reboot, if you will. Because this is a requel. This is a reboot sequel. Rebooting the franchise, bringing the legacy characters into the mix. So we get Jedediah Sawyer, is Leatherface's real name. So he's called Bubba in the second film. But again, this is a direct sequel to the first film. So therefore, it's changing of the name again. Sawyer's still the last name, but still changing the name again. I like that Trey Songz played the character of Ryan, and one scene he's like playing billiards in the billiard room of this mansion, and you hear a Trey Songz song playing in the background, and you're like, ha. The artist and the actor are doing the same thing. I thought it was neat. Leatherface has been kept in his secluded portion of the wine cellar for all these decades that Sawyer Carson, Berta Sawyer Carson, has been keeping her grandchild, safe and sound despite his murderous tendencies. There hasn't been an incident since then, but there's still, stuff, and his like bone collection is there and like things. Or there have been instances, but like not documented instances. But then he goes on his killing spree again. So it's now Alexandra's character has that S for Sawyer burned into her chest from the fire from her mom's necklace. Jed realizing that she is now family. And then she says, I'm your cousin. I'm your cousin Heather. It's me. So then they work together to defeat the evil mayor and throw him into the meat grinder. Interesting. The sheriff saying, clean this up at the end, walking away. Very interesting how the sheriff's just like, we're not doing this. Just fix this mess. So then the question at the end is the fact that three of her friends, and the hitchhiker technically are in the basement still, and she just lets him do her things. Or eventually, is it a behind the scenes where the sheriff comes to collect the bodies, puts them back into the car wreck, and says, oh, this was a horrible accident, causing the death of 4 individuals. Some things don't have to be answered. I would like them to be answered. Some things don't have to be answered, and it's fine. But I thought the stylized aspect of it, I thought that Lionsgate having the property to it did a wonderful job. This takes place before Halloween, not specifically on Halloween. So there's like Halloween stuff in town. There's Halloween stuff at a Halloween carnival. And you have a masked pig face, cloak-wearing jigsaw character chasing people around the fairgrounds with a toy chainsaw facing off against Leatherface with a real chainsaw. So I thought that was a cute little Easter egg. It's funny saying cute in a horror film, but it's a cute Easter egg. It's a kitschy Easter egg because Saw is a Lionsgate property. So to have the Lionsgate property mixed with now a Lionsgate property, it's pretty neat. So moving forward, the next film I believe is Leatherface, which is a prequel to the original film. So we're staying within this particular new timeline of events. This film, Texas Chainsaw 2013, is a sequel to the 1974 film, taking place in 1973. And then Leatherface, I believe, is the prequel to that 1974 film, how Leatherface became Leatherface. I'm curious if they'll keep the same Jedediah Sawyer name. I'm assuming they will. I've never seen it. I saw this in theaters when it first came out back in 2013. But never again. I like it. I really enjoy it. I like the 03 and 06 films better, but this is still a very good addition to the franchise. It's a good explanation of backstory. It's a good sequel to the original film. Not many concerns I have. I have some concerns, questions that are not that can remain unanswered. It's fine, but I'm curious how the Leatherface film is, and then the 2022 film that just came out on Netflix. That is a sequel to the 4th film, I think. I don't know. We got to catch up on the timeline again. Anyway, 2013, Texas Chainsaw, starring Alexandra Daddario. Incredible talent that she is. On to the next review. Which mahalo.